How are we doing today? Hey, the last video we tied what I call a conventional Charlie special. So today's video we're going to do a fly that I call the improved Charlie special, but basically I just call him Charlie special. The reason that I changed it is guides became aware of they wanted foam and they wanted legs, and that was the name of the game, so I had to come up basically and change that pattern to accommodate their needs. And they can also fish a dropper beneath it, which is huge. But so I'm glad you're viewing. So let's go through the list here of materials, and I'll show you what we're using for the fly today. Again, we've got elk hair. Notice that this is lighter elk hair. This is off of a bull elk and not a cow. We're going to use a red magic marker today, and I'll show you that. White calf tail. For the tools, we got a stacker. We got your hackle pliers, scissors, of course, whip finisher, little thing on the thread. On virtually almost all of my threads, I use 6/0 thread. This is Danville, this particular product. Comes in a host of colors. And then just a little note on the bobbin. I like a bobbin that's tight here, so it's stiffer up here. And you can adjust them by taking the thread out, and if you want them looser, pull it apart. If you want it tighter, push them together. But you have a lot more control on a tight bobbin. So I like a tight bobbin. We got our head cement here. There's a head cement that I use. This particular used to be lacquer thinner. Used to be lacquer for doing fingernail toenails, fingernail, whatever. But I used all the lacquer in it, and I just put head cement in it. And I'll show you why I like that. I like the brush, and we'll show you that at the end. I'm going to give you a little tip. That's a sharpening device. And then over here we've got the legs, and these are just a round rubber leg. These were actually white with fluorescent orange stripes through it that I dyed yellow with RIT dye. And then again, we've got polypropylene yarn. For this particular fly, we do want yellow. I use this in a lot of different colors, though. I tie 5 or 6 different colors of this improved Charlie special. And this is the product that we're looking at right here. You can buy this online. You get on Amazon. Just Google up polypropylene yarn, and you'll see it. All right, let's get started. Okay, the hook we're going to use today, this is a size 10, and this is a 3X long 10. You can use a 2X long 10, whatever, doesn't really matter, 2X, 3X. For this particular fly, I prefer heavy wire as opposed to the light wire, just because of the foam. It just gives it a little more durability. And the thing about it is, with the amount of foam on this fly, this thing floats like a battleship. Okay, so we're going to put it into the vise. Notice when I put it into the vise that I don't leave a whole bunch of the point out, so that you know, it's as you're wrapping your thread, you can cut it on the tip, so you've got to watch that. Okay, so here we go. So we're going to get a nice thread base on there, and keep in mind that when you have this foam on there, that it can turn on you quite easily. Notice how I'm going at an angle here when I back over by the point of the hook. I'm coming back forward like that. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so we're going to cut this little tag off right here. Now, this is 2 millimeter thick foam, and you can buy this. I bought this at Joann's Fabric, and I think I got 4 for $1. Now, there's a lot of flies on that. Basically, what you do is just set a straight edge along the edge, and then just take a razor blade, cut it to the width that would be appropriate for the size that you're going to tie. This is the size, this is about the width that I like for a size 10. So it's somewhere around 3/16 to 1/4 inch, right in there somewhere. Okay, now, this one's going to be quite a bit different than the conventional Charlie, so we're going to start that. We're going to leave about 1/4 inch And we're going to tie that on there nice and tight. And then notice how I'm pulling that forward so that that's right against the eye of the hook. Nice and tight. Okay? So when I wrap that back, I'm not going to wrap it all at one time. I'm going to wrap it in segments, just like that. And this is an idea I got then for another fly that I'll show in another video that I call Breaking Bad, which is another variation of this same fly. Okay, now I'm going to go back. Notice I'm right at the end. Okay, so I want that to lay nice and flat. The heaviest part of that hook is the bend of the hook here, so that's why we want that extended back like that. Okay, so now I'm going to go back. Notice that I'm holding on to the foam all the time so it doesn't turn. And I mean, I'm putting on these are tight. These are nice and tight, all right? Okay, now, we want about a tail of about that long, and that's going to be the body and the tail, different than the other conventional Charlies, and you'll see why as we tie the fly. Okay, so we're going to take a piece of this polypropylene yarn. Notice that as I wrap that back, that I have more bulk up here with the foam and less here. I do that for a reason. I increase the pressure on it right here because that's the area that I'm going to tie on everything right here. So I'm going to tie that polypropylene yarn right in there, just like that, right against the back part of the foam, okay? Then again, this is Met saddle hackle. You know, I can't emphasize enough to buy saddles. They're just, for the money, I mean, there's just a ton of flies in these things, and it's the way to go. So I'm going to peel off a little bit of that back, just like that. And then if you look at that hackle, that's shiny side up. That's if you were tying wet. And dry flies are always dull side up. So we want that dull side up. So we're going to set that right on top of the shank of the hook, just like that. Tie that in. Then we're going to bring our thread forward, and we're going to stop it about that far from the point. So somewhere, 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch, probably 1/8 of an inch. Just call that. Okay, so now again, this is basically just a pitch and catch technique that we're going to wind that polypropylene yarn over the top of that foam, and I'm putting that on there tight. That's not loose, that's tight. Okay, we're going to go right up on top, just like that. A couple loose ones, a couple tight ones like that. Okay, got that tag out of there. Okay, and one thing I might add with my scissors is, as part I was showing you this, is that periodically, just like a butcher, I'm sharpening my scissors just like that. I just figure out the angle of the scissor, and I just give it a couple quick ones. Now I tie 6 hours a day, and I've tied with these scissors for probably 6-7 years, and you can see that they're not even, because of my pressure, sharpening them isn't different, but they work very good, and that's a good way to roll. Okay, now we're going to wind this hackle forward. 4 wraps should do it. Again, just that pitch and catch technique. Bring that up right there like that. Couple loose ones with your left hand, right hand if you're left-handed. Clip off that little tag. And you can actually feel that you've sharpened your scissors, because you can kind of feel grainy from either the stone or the scissors, probably the scissor, but that's a good indicator that you're getting them sharp. Okay, so we're going to grab some elk hair. Let's do it on this side so you can see it a little better. Okay, and again we want about, I don't know, about 30. Again, this isn't rocket scientist. It's going to be what it's going to be, then that's just about right. Okay, so I'm going to take the tips and put them in my left hand. Give the bottom just a little shake. Pull out those shorter under fur. Okay. Now, we're going to put that in the stacker. Now, this can be a little hairy. Some people have a tough time with the stacker. And incidentally, if your stacker isn't working well, you just take this out and you polish with auto polish just the inside of this. Doesn't matter about the outside. And then that hair will just go in there beautiful. So I'm going to put it in there, tips down, just like that. A couple tips like that. A couple clanks like that for the wife. No, she doesn't like that, so that's why I do that. That's why I have this Velcro on here. Okay, so notice that when I'm tipping that out of there, you know, tips are down. Now, as I'm going to take that out of there, I have it reversed again. See how it's going down on the end that you put the tips in, and then I can grab it out of there. It's real convenient for me to grab. Okay. Again, and this is a nice choice with the length of the hair, because this is about the length that I need, this whole thing. So my fingers are going to be the guide there. You can set that up there and kind of look at it, and that's about what we want, about right there. So as my fingers are the guide, I'm just going to cut right at the end of my fingers, just like that. I'm going to set that over the top of that foam, just like that, okay? These wraps are pretty tight wraps. Notice all the time that I'm holding the body of the fly. And I mean, I've got a pretty good grip on it. It's not a death grip, but it's a pretty good grip. That way it won't turn on me. Okay, that looks really nice. Okay. So next, we're going to grab the calf tail. Again, we're going to grab a clump. It's not rocket science. I don't know, I suppose there's 30, 40 in that as well. Okay, so we're going to pull out the small ones, get rid of them. Okay, now we're going to set that up there. We want this just a slightly bit longer than the elk hair, or close to the same length. That's not a big thing. Again, so we're going to let the ends of my fingers are going to be my guides. So we're going to make that cut. Maybe you can see that a little better right there, like that. Perfect. All right. Now we're going to set that on there. And again, the whole thing is all predicated on the space between my forefinger and my thumb. So that's just going to go right over the top of the hook. Notice I don't adjust it or do anything. I'm just setting it right on top of the hook, just like that. Okay. And I'm going to lash that down, and I mean, I'm putting some pretty serious pressure on that. This is 3/0 thread, or excuse me, 6/0 thread, but it'll take some pressure, just like that. Looks good. Okay, let's pick them up like that. Okay, now there's a little white showing right there, and we could cover that up like I did in an earlier video with a magic marker, but that's all going to be covered up by the foam, so that isn't going to matter. So now, what we're going to do is we're going to grab that foam just like that. We're going to bring that over the top, keep it right in the middle, and make these wraps. What I do here is I usually count to 10. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now that's a lot of thread, but what you want is for that to be secured there. So that's not going to twist on you. That's going to stay right there. And I mean, that's a lot of thread. And notice that I put those loops, all in the same spot. Okay, so now we're going to go to that rubber. Okay, and again, when you're going to do this fly, have all your materials laid out to do like a half a dozen. Don't do one at a time. Okay, now, that's about the length I want right there. So I'm going to set it there with my right hand. I'm going to come in there with my left hand and just hold it right there. Again, I'm going to put them wraps right where we had the other ones. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go like that. And then I'll show you a couple different ways that you trim these. And I usually always do the leg that's away from me first. It's easier to measure if you line up both back legs. So this one's a tad longer, so we're just going to pull that just a little bit, just like that. Okay, good. Okay, now we're going to secure those in there really nice, just like that. Okay. Okay, now we're going to take the whip finisher. So we're going to catch it right there, hook it around the hook, and see the triangle there again, and we're just going to wrap right around there about 5 or 6 wraps. Good. Okay. Now, we're going to trim that out of there. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this. You can do them like this and measure them and cut. We've already got the back ones to the right length. Sometimes it's easier just to turn it over just like that and trim them like this. And there's a little piece of hackle there wrapped in. That's no big deal. Okay, so just like that. So now, to finish this particular fly, and let me head cement it first. And I don't head cement it in the vise. So what I want to do is make sure that I get a good coat around all of the thread. So that includes the bottom here. I'm going to put cement in that area. Here on the sides to help secure the legs. I don't use stuff like Zap-A-Gap. I mean, you could, but I don't feel it's necessary. If you tie it tight, you shouldn't really need it. Okay, so we've got that done. Again, though, I'd rather tie a bunch of these and head cement all at the same time. Now, for the end product, so I'm going to turn it upside down just like that. So I'm going to be careful. Notice how I'm reaching under with my scissors so I don't catch a bunch of my hair and cut it off. Okay, so we're going to trim it like that to a point, just like that. Then we're going to take this red magic marker, and this is kind of a nice highlight to this fly and gives it a lot of distinction. And the guides refer to this as a egg sac, and you know, I think that's pretty good. I think that's a good call on it. And there you go. So there you go with the improved Charlie Special. I'll guarantee you that this fly here, absolutely incredible for fishing droppers. Really visible, really easy to see on the surface of the water. And note that the combination of the red and the yellow here, and then the red and the yellow on the legs as well, sets it out really nice. You know, and that's the improved Charlie Special. You're going to like this one. Again, make sure that you use this fly. Tie it a few times. Very easy to tie. Not bad at all. You know, I'd ask you to view this. Give me a thumbs up if you like it. I sure hope that you don't like it, because if you fish it, you're going to like it. You're going to regret giving us a thumbs down. But this is a good fly. So I hope you subscribe and watch our videos in the future. Thank you.